that have other appointments and things to do, and we'll get this show on the road. Okay, so welcome everybody. We'll start with doing the Pledge of Allegiance as we normally do, and I'll try and stand up here so you don't see my stomach too bad. Look at the flag, but I'll do the Pledge of Allegiance for you. So your hand over your heart, and I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see everybody here. We got a good program this morning about the joint project between United Water and our favorite Navy base out at Point Mugu. So for those of you that try and get some credits, let me give you some information here. So at the beginning at this program, when they get going, or you can actually do it now, you need to type in order to get your CDDW credits, go into the chat box. Oh, and you're going to type my name in there, Shelley, S-H-E-L-L-Y. So type that into the chat box so you get your credits. Then watch the slides, and then you'll get some further instructions throughout the presentation. At the end, we will give you the sign out word to type, and AWA, that means Kelly and Michelle, will email certificates to who are ready to get them, and that way you can comply with all of your instructions and get everything done. So don't forget to do that. Type in my name, Shelley. I see a bunch of you are already typing in, so that's good news because we want you all to get your credits. Upcoming programs that we have, AWA and CCWUC, Channel County's Water Utilities Committee, and that'll be on February the 24th. So the history of pump efficiency testing in California. It sounds like such an exciting program that I might even want to be part of it to find out about pump efficiency and its history, how far back it goes to the pioneer times, which Kelly, of course, was there to be part of. The guest speaker is going to be Steve Villegas, who is our presidente of AWA, and Steve does a really, really good job. And Kelly wants me to announce special thanks to Brett Sherman, Utilities Maintenance Crew Leader with the City of Thousand Oaks, and Wes Richardson, Control Systems Specialist for Callegas Municipal Water District. So watch your emails to get an invitation for this and how to log in, all that other kind of stuff. But certainly mark your calendars for February the 24th so you can take part in this ever popular and ever exciting presentation that's going to happen. All right, so our program today is the Coastal Brackish groundwater treatment and the progress update on that. Our speakers, Dr. Miriam Braille, who's our chief engineer over here at United, Nathan Jacobson, who is the water program manager at U.S. Naval Base Ventura County, our illustrious general manager, if he's available, is going to do the introductions. I understand that we're also going to have a presentation from our base commander out there as well, but we'll let Mauricio do all of that. Is Mauricio out there anywhere? Is he ready to go and get this thing going? Anybody?
Can you find me some time or invite me?
Sure. So
well, we'll wait for Mauricio to get out here to do his introductions because I don't know where he's at.
I'm right.
This is going to have to go under his evaluation coming up.
I'm ready.
You are
ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, folks, I always like to tell you a little story about some friends of mine. And, you know, now that you're typing my name in, Shelley, you might associate me with being Jewish. I think a lot of you don't even know that. So that's the reason I'm able to tell you this story about a rabbi and a priest who were sitting together on a bus. So after a while on their journey, the priest turned to the rabbi and asked, "Is it still a requirement of your faith that you don't eat pork?" The rabbi responded, "Yes, it's still one of our beliefs." So then the priest then asked him, "Have you ever eaten pork?" To which the rabbi replied, "Well, yes, on one occasion I did succumb to the temptation and I did taste a ham sandwich." A while later during the bus ride, the rabbi said to the priest, "Father, is it still a requirement of your church that you remain celibate?" And the priest replied, "Yes, that is still very much a part of our faith." But then the rabbi asked him, "Father, have you ever fallen to the temptation of flesh?" And the priest replied, "Yes, Rabbi. On one occasion, I was very, very weak with my faith." So the rabbi, being as he is, nodded understandably and remained silent for a few minutes and was thinking and thinking. And finally, the rabbi said, "Beats a ham sandwich, doesn't it?" So they had that nice conversation, and everything went on from there. And both of them went to their respective bus stops and got off and went to work. All right, Mauricio, enough of this stuff.
Thanks, Shelley.
I can hear my wife laughing in the background. She's already hit the bottle, for those of you who know. It's unfortunate that my wife has to have wine every single morning when she gets up. And that's the reason you hear all that noise coming out of the bedroom around the corner here, because she can't keep her trap shut for 5 seconds and listens in on all my conversations. But having said that, I love her very much. Coming up on 40 years together of, I would say, wedded bliss, but let's just leave it at 40 years together. Oh, look at Mauricio's in his office. He actually showed up at work today. Look at you. I'm so happy to see you at your office.
Oh, it's
that
always,
crap hanging on the wall.
always a pleasure, Shelley. Always a pleasure.
That's all UCLA stuff up there, isn't it? You know, I'm not allowed to go up there. His office is like totally off limits for me.
That stuff is outside in bins somewhere.
Oh, the UCLA stuff is?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good.
Having said that, it is with my great pleasure to have our general manager extraordinaire. He came in first as the #1 general manager for United Water. Chris Softly came in. It was a close second. She almost won. But Mauricio did win by, I understand, 1 vote, which of course was his own vote. But the rumor has it he really did vote for Chris to be the general manager, not him. So Mauricio, have at it. And I'll let you do the introductions of our very popular and everlasting guest speakers.
Thanks, Shelley. Now I'm wondering if the wine is still just left in that bedroom there. But really good morning, everyone. And it's a real pleasure to be with you this morning. We've got a really great presentation for you today. For those of you who attended our Water Sustainability Summit almost a year ago, believe it or not, in there we identified several projects that we presented that would help move us towards sustainability here in the region, become drought tolerant, and help meet the demands and with a critical resource that certainly we all need. And one of those projects was the Coastal Brackish Water Treatment Plant. And today we've got a great presentation that's going to show you the progress, because if you recall, for those who joined us, really the overarching theme was we gotta put something into action. There's a lot of great plans, there's a lot of great concepts, and we got to start walking the talk. And I think you're going to see today we've got a lot of really good information showing the progress and how well we're collaborating with the United States Navy in moving towards developing this very important project. And we're hopeful that by October of this year that we can have our Water Sustainability Summit 2. We have obviously our presenters, as Shelley had indicated earlier, with Miriam and Nathan, but also joining us today is Captain Kirk Gallagherquist. The captain is a native of Maine. He joined the Navy in 1995, commissioned into Civil Engineering Corps through the NROTC program at Norwich University, where he received a BS in Civil Engineering. He has served in a variety of expeditionary facilities construction, public works, and staff assignments covering both coasts of the United States, and oversees tours and deployments to Okinawa, mainland Japan, Bahrain, Iraq, and Djibouti. No stranger to Naval Base Ventura County. This is his third assignment here with 2 previous tours in CB battalions. He assumed the role as Chief Staff Officer at Naval Base Ventura County in June 2019. He holds an MS in Civil Engineering from the University of Colorado and is a registered professional engineer in the state of North Carolina. We're very happy to have him today. Captain, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Mauricio, for the introduction and the opportunity to participate today. The Navy is excited to participate in this project with United Water. Reliability, resiliency, and accessibility to potable water are critical to supporting military missions here at Naval Base Ventura County. And the Navy is committed to being a good steward of water resources to achieve groundwater sustainability. This project will have a positive effect on the community by providing another source of potable water, and will protect the aquifer from further seawater intrusion. Benefits for the Navy include reducing the risk of encroachment around the airfield by hopefully keeping the agricultural fields just that. It's also an opportunity for us to capitalize on 11 acres of underutilized land on our installation here at Point Mugu, so that United Water can develop their treatment plant. And the Navy will receive some in-kind consideration, which will allow for critical upgrades and funds for other projects for the Navy. Lastly, the Navy benefits through resiliency, having a second source of potable water available to give us that redundancy. United Water's project has the potential to significantly benefit both military mission and the local community in Ventura County, and the Navy is excited for this opportunity to continue exploring this important project. The following presentation discussion will dive deeper into the science and technical aspects of the project that both Miriam and Nathan will talk to. And again, appreciate the opportunity to participate today, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain, for kicking off the presentation. And with that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Miriam and Nathan. Miriam?
Thank you, Mauricio. Good morning. Welcome, and thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Before we start the presentation, I would like to thank AWA for the opportunity to present the Coastal Brackish Groundwater Treatment Project progress update today. Also, I would like to acknowledge Navy Base Ventura County and Mr. Nathan Jacobson, my co-presenter, for their support and collaboration on this project. Here is the outline of today's presentation. I would like to take a moment to discuss the project background, project objectives, extraction barrier concept for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this project. I would like to go over the project updates since our last presentation about 8 months ago at the AWA WaterWise meeting in June 2020. And this project is partially funded by the Dwr Prop 1 Planning Grant Program in support of a feasibility study, and it requires regulators' engagement. And I will talk about that later on in this presentation. And next, I will turn it to Nathan, so he will also present the Navy's role and the support of this project. And before we conclude this presentation, I will come back and talk about the next steps, the work that we need to do, and it's ahead of us, and highlight the project benefits and challenges. And once the presentation is concluded, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. And I'm sure Nathan would also respond to any questions that it is related to the Navy. And I have my team here in case we need to get into more details. Since the 1950s, United, through regional collaboration, implemented several projects, such as the OH pipeline, the Pleasant Valley pipeline and reservoir system that was completed in 1959, and the PTP or pumping trough pipeline that was completed in 1986. In 2012, United began considering brackish groundwater extraction and treatment concept. In 2014, United conducted an initial study evaluating the feasibility of the project, but at that time, the vision was to locate an extraction well field and a treatment plant north of the naval base Point Mugu. So in 2019, with discussions with the Navy, we modified the concept and basically started talking about locating the extraction wells and a treatment plant at Naval Base Point Mugu, where the extent of seawater intrusion is the highest. Several project objectives are listed here. I would like to highlight a few. So the objective of this project is to provide a sustainable solution to combat seawater intrusion and treat aquifer salinity contamination. We would also enable Naval Base Ventura County to meet its water security goals by basically providing a supplemental potable supply and increasing resiliency of regional water supplies by creating a new drought-proof supply. And in addition, the project will play a major role in helping FCGMA achieve the basin sustainability goal by 2040. Okay, so let's talk about extraction barrier concept. Seawater intrusion in the upper aquifer system has been established through several attempts. The first one that I am showing here is based on the 2010 Geophysical Survey. So you can see the extent of seawater intrusion in the Oxnard Aquifer and on the left, and the Mugu Aquifer on the right. The groundwater chloride contours are shown here for chloride concentrations above 10,000 milligram per liter, above 5,000 milligram per liter, and above 500 milligram per liter. As you can see, the extent of the seawater intrusion has advanced for approximately 3 miles off the coast in the Oxnard Aquifer at Point Mugu. In the Mugu Aquifer, the extent of groundwater with chloride concentrations above 10,000 milligram per liter is most significant. Okay. So I'm sorry, all right. So in 2016, the extent of seawater intrusion was refined and mapped in both aquifers. And here you can see the extent of the seawater intrusion inland is shown in the red contour here for the Oxnard Aquifer. And the yellow lines here show the extent of seawater intrusion inland for the Mugu Aquifer. With declining groundwater levels below the sea level, the Mugu submarine canyon located off the coast at Point Mugu probably controls potential flow path to the coastal aquifer system. And I will be talking about this more. All right. So here, this graphic depicts induced landward encroachment of seawater into the coastal aquifer system. And let's see, how would an extraction barrier help reverse this situation? So the idea is to create a negative hydraulic barrier by intercepting inflowing seawater near the coast. Extracting a mixture of seawater and brackish water combined with reduced pumping activities can be used as a corrective measure for seawater intrusion. Extracted brackish or saline groundwater can be treated and distributed to the coastal areas in lieu of, let's say, reduced pumping activities. let's talk about the concerns associated with this approach. So one issue is that once the extraction is happening, there may be a risk of vertical flows from the perched zone into the confined aquifer system. And these blue arrows kind of like indicate those vertical flows. Also, there would be a risk of losing fresh water by creating a hydraulic gradient towards the coast. And lastly, there could be, there would be kind of like inducing more seawater flow landward that could result in further contamination of the aquifers. So moving the extraction wells closer to the coastline might minimize or eliminate some or all of these concerns and maximize the efficacy of an extraction barrier. Okay, now the exciting part is the progress update. So over the past 8 months, we have done quite a lot of activities and planning, and have been closely working with the Navy and Nathan in particular. So here we have a location map of the proposed project area, or Point Mugu. United and the Navy are considering an area of approximately 11 acres for a proposed treatment plant. And initially, United and the Navy evaluated location alternatives for a series of extraction wells near the proposed location for the Brackish groundwater treatment plant. And the location of the plant is indicated with this blue dot here. However, through additional discussions and considerations, we are now considering to shift some or all of the extraction well locations to the coast, closer to Mugu Canyon, where seawater enters the production aquifers of the Oxnard Basin. The proposed extraction well locations might provide a more effective seawater intrusion barrier, as I explained through the concept explanation, and placing the extraction wells near the coast might be even more desirable for the Navy. United and the Navy visited the proposed locations in December last year, and we sort of like did a field reconnaissance, and we are still evaluating the proposed new locations. And in parallel to those activities, United has developed a comprehensive groundwater sampling plan and started a quarterly water quality sampling of selected monitoring wells at Point Mugu. And we started that activity since June last year. So here we have indicated, or we are indicating the location of the monitoring wells that are about 2 miles inland away from the coast. And we've also targeted a monitoring well on the coast. To date, we have completed 3 rounds of water quality sampling. So the water quality data at this stage would help us identify pretreatment needs and model RO, which is the main treatment process, performance using various water quality data. It would also help us estimate the volume and composition of the brine concentrate. So I talked about the comprehensive water quality sampling, but to highlight the difference between water quality depending on the locations, I have just listed a few kind of key constituents here. So the main point here is to realize that the water quality, at least in the kind of static state, can change drastically from, let's say, inland in this location to where we are near the coast. So for instance, TDS concentrations, chloride concentrations could be pretty low. And once you're comparing it with the coastal water quality samples, you realize that the TDS and chloride concentrations are pretty much like seawater. For the reference, the chloride concentration in seawater is about 19,400 milligram per liter. And here, the chloride concentration is pretty close. So with that, depending on the location of the extraction wells, we would expect to basically treat seawater. And with that, then we can kind of predict what kind of RO membrane types we would need. So along with those activities, we have also been looking into potential alignments and pipelines. And we went through a couple of iterations, and currently we are considering this kind of alignment that I'm going to explain it more. So depending on the extraction wells, we might need 1 or 2 pipelines to deliver groundwater to the plant. And these are shown with these green lines. So if we are on the coast, then we will have a pipeline to collect extracted groundwater and convey to the treatment plant. And equally, if we do stay along, like away from the coast, then we would also need another alignment. So depending on the finished water quality, we might need 1 or 2 alignments. And one would be dedicated to the Navy to deliver high quality water to their existing domestic system. And the remaining of the product water will be available for the users off base. And we will also need a dedicated pipeline to convey the RO brine concentrate. And this is kind of like being shown with yellow lines here. So since the proposed project area is in the vicinity of Cayuga's salinity management pipeline, we are considering the discharge option to the SMP. And we have already started talking with Cayuga's to learn more about the requirements for the discharge. And along with these considerations, our hydrogeologists have been busy using the existing e-logs to determine and map the subsurface geology in the project area. So as I said, we have used the e-logs of the existing production and monitoring wells. And here in this profile, we see the presence of the perch zone, the upper aquifer system that includes Oxnard and Magoo aquifers, and the lower aquifer system that is represented by Fox Canyon Aquifer here. For optimal flow pattern, brackish groundwater is extracted from both the Oxnard and Magoo aquifers. And conceptually, seawater from the ocean and brackish water from inland are pulled towards the extraction wells without initiating vertical flows from the perch zone down to the Oxnard aquifer. Similarly, extraction rates through the Magoo aquifer needs to be modeled to kind of see the approach of the fresh water into the extraction wells. But because of the hydrological conditions inland, we believe that the fresh water would be actually moving vertically into the lower aquifer system. And these arrows here indicate that kind of trend. Okay, next is the mapping the lithology in the area. So here we have the Point Mugu geological map, and United has used the available boring logs and well drilling reports for the existing wells and test borings in this area to map the underlying aquifer system at the base. So the subsurface geology, lithology, and the presence and extent of the confining units inland and along the coast are mapped. And I will show you 3 examples or 3 section details in the next 3 slides. And I will concentrate on this section, which we call B prime, the HH prime that stretches and comes close to the proposed extraction wells inland and near the proposed treatment plant, and also a section along the coastal areas. So through geological mapping, the lithology of the area is correlated to the aquifer systems. As you see here, for instance, the Perth zone, Oxnard, and Mugu aquifer are recognized and indicated here. Also, you can see due to the good presence and existing wells, we have identified the confining units along this area between the Perth zone and Oxnard aquifer and between Oxnard and Mugu aquifers. When we get to other sections, it seems like we have some information in some areas. For instance, here we have the presence of deep wells that help us kind of identify those aquifer layers. But when we get to this section on the southeast side, near the proposed extraction well locations, we have the test borings in sort of like the first 100 feet, but we might need to have additional borings or collect more information to be able to identify the deeper layers. And here along the coast, we also kind of recognize a gap here in this area. And currently we are talking and discussing with the Navy to either gather more information or perhaps plan for additional borings. But the importance about this activity is that the data for individual borings will be used to generate surfaces and layer thicknesses for use in evaluating confinement of the Oxnard aquifer and for local groundwater model refinements. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the DWR Prop 1 funding. And the funding or the grant is nearly $126,000, which makes up 50% of the cost for the feasibility study. And the main activities related to the feasibility study is basically to look at the brackish water treatment and the impact and benefits for the basin. So as part of the grant planning program, DWR has required to form a technical advisory committee. And we certainly think this is beneficiary because having the regulators involved and engaged earlier on would help to respond to some of the concerns that they might have with this project. And basically, we are hoping that it would facilitate an easier approval of this project. So we had the first TAC meeting in September 2020, and members from the State Water Resources Control Board, the Regional Water Quality Control Board, the Division of Drinking Water, FCGMA, and Navy-based Ventura County were present in the meeting. And as we are moving on with additional groundwater modeling, we will have the next TAC meetings scheduled. So now will be Nathan's turn to present his part of the presentation. But before I turn it over to Nathan, I would like to make a couple of statements. United and Navy staff have been collaborating extremely well since 2019, and I think Nathan agrees with this statement. And despite the COVID-19 pandemic, we have made a significant progress. Both United's board of directors and United's general manager, as well as the Navy leadership, view this project a high priority project. And you heard that both our general manager and Captain Gallagherquist expressed that. So, and in addition, this was clearly demonstrated in a letter of intent to support that United received from the Navy in November 2020. And Nathan will be elaborating more on that. And with this, I turn it over to Nathan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Audio okay?
Can you get that to him or do you need the slides?
No, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam, and thank you, United, for letting us co-present this presentation today. Thank you, AWA, for letting us also do this project update, because it's very important to everyone in Ventura County. And lastly, thank you, Captain Gallagherquist, for letting me present on behalf of the Navy. It's an honor to be a part of this project. Next one.
All right.
So the purpose of our effort was to obtain support for this project, and that's the goal was to get our regional commander, Rear Admiral Boulevard, to sign a letter of support. That letter of support was enabled a lot of progress from the team on United side, as well as an understanding from the bottom to the top and the leadership for the Navy to understand the project. Navy coordination was throughout many branches of our group, from our public works department all the way through the facilities engineering command, real estate, legal, and of course all the way up to RegCom for those approvals. We're excited for this project because it's a part of the sustainable groundwater management effort that is very at the forefront of everyone's mind here. Everyone is going to have to pull their weight, and we're excited to be a part of a project that we can actually support in the right way with our funding and all our staff effort. This also enables us to free up a lot of your money, the taxpayer money, and time with regard to, as Captain Gallagherquist alluded to, not spending money on military construction. A MILCON can cost millions and millions of dollars to taxpayers to get a very similar water supply brought to the installation to meet our sustainability, or excuse me, our resilient goals. And enabling us to continue our mission, which is the forefront of what we are here to do. Minimal support of this is minimal risk to the Navy because United would own, operate, and maintain this facility. It's a very, very advantageous real estate item for the Navy. Project overview: we actually initiated our support through a letter from our commanding officer to United and to the state to support the Prop 1 funding. That support, we are very thankful to get that funding and move forward. And we are very confident that the incredible scientists and engineers here at United can really show regulatory agencies and the public how this project can be feasible to provide a sustainable, drought-resistant water source for the county. You know, full permitting and agency approvals are still needed, so that's one of the things that's going to be driving the way we move forward. We're anticipating that we're hopeful that this project can move forward so that we can have a long-term water source to continue the Navy mission for years and years to come. Next slide, please. As a quick overview of water at Naval Base Ventura County, this I'll be very brief. We, of course, those might remember back in the day, in 1942, we established Point Magoo. And during that time, we have had a lot of challenges facility-wise to keep our mission moving forward. And as of even 1959, we had to move all of our water inland, such that we didn't have that seawater intrusion impacting our mission and our water supply. Through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, there was a significant number of management agencies identified Fox Canyon, as well as some of the ordinances that originated with identifying that we need to manage our groundwater throughout the entire system. And then, of course, the groundwater sustainability plan that was developed was very important for the Navy to understand the direction and also the requirements and legal aspects of the ordinance and all of the management requirements. So we are very thankful to get with Fox Canyon GMA to allow us to identify some specific language in the GSP to identify that we have a Navy's Federal Reserve water rights, which is very important for us to maintain. And this project allows us to really keep that in the forefront, because the Navy mission requires water, and this will enable us to not be on the 1955 El Rio well field as we are today. We can allow other users to use that while maintaining the Navy mission. Next slide. So I just really wanted to identify, this is the recommended way forward that we presented to the RegCom, to Rear Admiral Bolivar, as well as throughout our entire leadership. I think this similar presentation was done about 4 or 5 times to all the leadership within the naval community. So first step was, as Miriam indicated, was a letter of support, November 2020. And we were very excited to have that in place. And it was a significant effort to have that done. And there's a lot of people that reviewed and really put their 2 cents in of availability and applicability and feasibility of doing our support. The second step is going to be identifying a long-term real estate agreement if the project does move forward with regulatory agency approvals, or at least sound engineering and sound science and engineering that allows us to move forward with all the permitting and all the significant costs therein. To do that on the Navy side is a significant effort. It has to go all the way up to the Assistant Secretary of the Navy for approvals. So that effort, that real estate effort, is a significant undertaking that the Navy would gladly go forward with if all the dominoes fall in the right place. Additional Navy actions. We have a significant amount of NEPA and CEQA and all the other permitting requirements, which requires a lot of documents to be reviewed, to be provided, and to enable it for public review. I'm luckily very involved with this project, and I'm very pleased to be a part of it. And one of my roles is to facilitate between the Navy base and United, and all the locations that we were identifying on the maps and all the future buildings all have to be approved so that they don't impact Navy mission, existing or future. So that's an undertaking to really understand the direction forward. So with that, thank you for your time, and look forward to answering any questions that you might have.
Great.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, Nathan. So before we conclude this presentation, I would like to just briefly talk about the work ahead of us. We're going to continue groundwater sampling, as I explained and described why we are doing that. We are going to continue our discussions with the Navy to plan for new and deeper borings along the coast, if it is possible, to develop a better understanding of the geological characterizations and verifying continuity of the confining units. We have actually already started groundwater modeling, but we will continue and complete the groundwater modeling to determine feasibility of the project through numerical modeling. And I mentioned the TAC, and we are expecting to schedule the second TAC meeting probably around May, June this year. And we're hoping that we can finalize the extraction well locations. And along with those activities, we have already started to initiate a programmatic environmental permitting process. As Nathan mentioned, those can be lengthy and challenging. So we want to be ahead of the curve and start identifying the processes and the permitting that are taking the longest time. And through this presentation and other presentations, we are going to continue our public outreach, as we realize that having the public support, the stakeholder support, and the local regulator support are really necessary for the success of this project. All right. So just briefly, I'm going to highlight the benefits and challenges of this project. We mentioned that by implementing this project, we will have a reliable local supply and provide regional resiliency. We will have a sustainable solution to seawater intrusion problems. And with that, we will secure a long-term protection of our local groundwater resources. And we will actually implement and provide a diverse regional water supply portfolio. And we would kind of have a local supply to rely on and a drought-proof supply. And again, Brackish, coastal Brackish groundwater treatment project would play a major role and contribute to sustainable yield of the Oxnard and Pleasant Valley basins. And while we are planning and working on this project, the end result would be production of water with superior quality. And because of the nature of the RO, and if it is feasible, there is a potential and option to increase the plant capacity or yield increase. The challenges are also listed here, a few of them, but the ones that I have on top of my list is the environmental permitting compliance, CEQA and NEPA. And in addition to actually get those permits done, once we are done with that process, we would then get into the negotiations and agreements with the Navy to facilitate the out-grant easement for the treatment plant and the implementation of the extraction wells. We are expecting that while we're working on this project, by the time it is being implemented, there will be future water quality regulations and new MCLs, so we keep an eye on those. And this kind of project with this caliber is expected to have high capital and operation costs. But as we are advancing with the project planning and the design, we will be refining those costs. And at this point, any cost that is being discussed or expressed would be a very rough order of magnitude. And we know that having a local supply and having regional resiliency wouldn't come cheap. So again, project-specific challenges are supply and demand balance, finalizing the product water requirements, whether it's going to be drinking water quality or else, and a product water distribution system. How do we get the water from the coastal area into the Oxnard plain and make it available for ag or M&I? uses. And brine concentrate management is something that is on our list and a critical point. If we do treat seawater, then we would expect to have a lower recovery, and perhaps 50% of the raw water would be brine. And that is why it is important to minimize the liquid discharge and increase the overall recovery of the plant. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for your attention, and we are ready for questions. Thank you. Okay, so the question that has come in is about the initial production capacity of the plant. Through our very preliminary and initial modeling, we looked at the 5,000 acre-feet per year raw water treatment. And initially, when we were looking at the water quality, we were expecting to treat brackish groundwater. And with that, the recovery of the plant would be 70%. So these are still kind of like under consideration. The goal really is not to end up with a 5,000 acre-feet per year plant capacity. We are considering 10,000 acre-feet per year, and perhaps we could even go further. But this would be the information that we have currently available.
The next question is Nathan on sea level rise and erosion.
Okay. Yeah, the question was, what are your assumptions on sea level rise and the erosion for the coastal well installation? So sea level rise is a significant question for Naval-based Ventura County's operations and mission. We've worked with the Natural Conservancy as well as working with the county in Ventura on options to evaluate long-term resilience through sea level rise. So of course, we're at the infancy of all of those, kind of understanding the science and the potential implications of sea level rise on all our installations, as well as the entire coastal area of California. So this is not solely this project. It's going to be California-wide, and we're luckily a part of a good team with TNC as well as the county, trying to evaluate how sea level rise and erosion can be mitigated to ensure long-term mission and support. Hopefully that answers your question. Over.
Has this been done anywhere else?
I don't believe that it has been implemented to the full scale as we are envisioning it, but the concept and the approach is certainly showing up in the literature. And the reason why we are considering extraction versus, let's say, injection, that it is practiced in Orange County, is because of lack of supply. So if we did have plenty of water, first of all, I think we would have used it without putting it into the ground for seawater mitigation. But that's basically the main reason behind considering the extraction versus injection.
As the project has developed over the years, the plan has moved pumping closer and closer to the ocean. In that regard, the final selected well sites are those that are essentially seawater. Is there any thought of doing actual seawater desal rather than extraction barrier, considering the injection barrier? I'm sure that is permitting, but
Yes. Let me see if I understand the question, Robert. So this is about why using extraction or using the extracted water for injection? Using the extracted water for injection?
yes, I think that's the discussion.
Okay, Great, thank you. So using the extracted water for injection, I believe we have discussed that, but I wouldn't. The reason for extraction is to retract the seawater intrusion zone. And once that extracted water is available and it gets treated, I believe that it can get treated to a level that can be directly used. So I hope that answers the question, but if there is a follow-up question, maybe we can elaborate on that.
Yeah. And I think permitting is a significant
Yes.
issue with it. To any ocean outfall. We work with the Coastal Commission a lot, and it's very difficult to get anything permitted. And I think Poseidon can
Right.
contribute to that effort in their two projects that they have in Southern California.
Thank you, Nathan.
Okay, gang, if I can intercede. I want to thank Miriam very, very much for the presentation. Nathan, I want to thank you as well for a great presentation this morning, very informative. You did a good job. It's a great project, and so we appreciate all the effort and time that you've put into it. So, you see it said type Brackish into the chat box now, but in order to get your credits, I hate to do this all to you, but you have one last thing to type in, and that's going to be good day, good, G-O-O-D day, D-A-Y. One last thing to put into the chat box, and you'll get your credits. If you don't get around to doing it, I'm sure that wink, wink, somehow or another, you'll get your certificates, and Kelly will make sure that all of that comes out. So again, thank you very much to the captain. We appreciate him giving us a short presentation and participation in the project to let us know that it's really going to be a great project in conjunction with the Navy. Nathan and Miriam, thank you both very, very much for your presentation. Next WaterWise coming up in March, to be determined as to what the presentation will be. It'll be another Zoom presentation, obviously, until we can get back on track again. And we'll send out all the information that you normally receive. So I want to thank you all.
Thank you.
I guess that's the end. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Nathan.
Great,
It
great
went
work.
well.
No.
He didn't touch anything. I'm so proud of you and this.
Please don't slow it down. It's frozen. Oh my gosh. Ah, he touched